furniture business for 56 years. And in 1983 joined the Vaughan-Bassett Furniture Company in Virginia and has held leadership roles there in manufacturing, sales, and marketing, and eventually became the president and CEO. And today he serves as their chairman. During that period of time, it became the largest wooden bedroom furniture manufacturer in the United States with over $80 million in sales and over 600 employees. So back then, if you remember, in the 80s and 90s, a lot of the furniture business went overseas. John worked tirelessly to make sure that his business stayed here in the United States and ultimately became the largest manufacturer of bedroom furniture. So again, I'll mention The Factory Man. Beth Macy brilliantly wrote that book, and that book was on the New York Times bestseller list for 7 weeks. As Barbara had mentioned, John also just came out with another book, and you're seeing it here today. It's Making It in America. Just went on sale 2 weeks ago. And again, it's going to be talking all about the theme today, transforming your business. John had to do that over and over again to compete with the Asians when they came in and took over the domestic furniture business. So, to wrap it up real quick, I want to just take a quote from the Factory Man. Beth Macy summed up, I think, John Bassett III best. After reading the whole book, I think this sums it up. So, JB III, that's what she called him, JB III, is inspirational, he's brash, he's a sawdust-covered good old boy from Virginia, a larger-than-life rule-breaker who for almost a whole decade has stood single-handedly against the outflow of jobs from America. So without further ado, I want to give you the good old boy from Virginia, John Bassett III.
Hi, thank you for inviting me up here. It's nice to be back in New York again. And I did not write Factory Man. And he almost stole my introduction, and I'm glad he didn't, because I can prove I didn't write this book. If you go to chapter 1, page 1, that she wrote this book, Factory Man, and I'm going to read what he started with, but I'm going to finish it. Page 1, chapter 1. Once in a reporter's career, one is very lucky, a person like John D. Bassett III comes along. JB3 is inspirational. He's brash. He's a sawdust-covered good old boy from rural Virginia, a larger-than-life rule-breaker who for more than a decade has stood almost single-handedly against the outflow of American jobs from America. He's an asshole. More than one of his competitors balked when they heard I was writing a book about globalization with JB3 as the main character. Over the course of researching this book, over the course of hearing his many lectures and listening to him evade my questions by telling me the same stories over and over, and every time I agreed. Chapter 1, page 1, the first 2 paragraphs, she called me an asshole twice. I did not write this book. I did write a book, and that's this book, Making It in America. By the way, I didn't call myself an asshole. So let me go over this very briefly, what this is all about. And this book is about globalization. This book is about survival. This is a business book, okay? And yes, what did we do to survive? And let me start right there to tell you, everybody, I'm in favor of education. I'm in favor of entrepreneurship. I'm in favor of invention and all the other things it takes today to be successful in business. But they don't bring up one factor. And this is the factor we use to stay in business. Yes, we did lead the anti-dumping petition against the Chinese, in which we prevailed. Another thing we did, we modernized our factory. And the other thing we did, we got out of debt. We had a strong balance sheet because the whole industry was shutting down. industry was shutting down. It was disappearing. And nobody thought we could make it. So no banker was going to lend us a dime. Not a dime. We were dead man walking. And I don't blame them. If I had been a banker, I wouldn't have lended either. To give you some idea, here are some names of companies, wonderful names of companies in the furniture business. Now this is wood furniture, it's not upholstery. You women have saved the upholstery business in this country. You cannot pick out the same fabric, the same pillow, the same welt, the same arm, the same skirt, the same everything. You drive the Asians nuts. So therefore, that stayed domestic. It's wood, bedroom, dining room, occasion. And these are all companies that made that product. Everything you see on this side, the company's liquidated. And they liquidated, and the stockholders probably got less than 50%, maybe 40% of the net worth. These are some wonderful names up here. Very venerable names in the industry. Drexel, Thomasville, Henry-Don, Lane, Broadhill. They all went bankrupt. Stockholders got zero. The name is still there. It's owned by some private equity company. These are names that are still here, but they don't sell any wood furniture to speak of that's made in the United States. They import it all. So what were we going to do? Because we really were part of this market over this group here. And we had to decide, can we do this? Can we do it? And our stockholders are scared to death, our employees are scared to death, the community was scared to death. We're in a small southern town, and we've been there since 1919, which is 3 years from now, where it will be our 100th year. What are we going to do? Well, we did something that I think America badly needs. And that is, we put people back in the barn. And when my two sons and I finally figured out that we had to do something, we went to our people, about 700 then, 600 now. And that was down from 1,800 that we had at one time. Yes, we had to close some factories. And we sat down and we talked to the people and we said, this is what we want to do. This is what we want to do. And it's amazing. They had given up. Americans had become quitters. They said, John, we're not the largest firm out there. How do you think we could do this? This is 2002, 2003, 2004. This isn't, we didn't even know there was going to be a financial crisis in 2008. And everything they read in the paper, everything they saw on television, everybody's closing the factories. Every business school was telling you to close the factories. All the investment bankers were telling you to close the factories. We are globalizing. And America is passe. We need finance. We don't need to make anything in this country. And we were shocked. And they were very polite and very respectful. And that's when I came up with the idea. I said, and my two sons are MBAs and my son-in-law's MBAs. This is somewhat facetious, but I said, what we need is more football coaches and less MBAs. And the reason I say that is, if you are a football coach in Ohio State, I got to put somebody up here in the north, but let's go back when it really played football. Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Florida, Arkansas. If you are in those schools and you're a 14-point underdog and you only lose by 10 points, an MBA said, we're in the money. We covered the spread. Guys, we're doing a great job. Tell me any big-time college football coach that's going to keep his job by losing games by 10 points. Winning, that is the first thing we have to get in our mind is attitude. It is nothing but a mindset. America needs to change its mindset. And you will hear me say this over and over again. And we got to think of ourselves as winners. You carry yourselves as a winner. And people look at you. But you have your whole organization that's given up. What do you do? Rule number 2. You do it with leadership. You carry yourself as a leader. I tell my supervisors, I said, don't ever show fear in your eyes. If you show fear in your eyes, they will have fear in their hearts. They're all looking at us, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't get to where we got to in this country by turning tail and running. And we've got to stop this. So what you have to do is build trust. You have to build trust. And I would always start my talk by saying, I'll give you the good news, I'll give you the bad news, but I will never lie to you. Never. And it is so important. Yes, we did the anti-dumping, we had a good balance sheet, but we had to change the attitude of that company, or we were closing up. And I knew we were making progress, because when they went to work, my car was in the parking lot. When they went home, my car was in the parking lot, okay? And I was out in that plant all the time talking to people and telling them they could do it, building up their confidence. So I'm walking through the finishing room one day, and there's 85 people in the finishing room, and the line stopped. And here comes 85 people toward me. I said, this is not good news coming. So they all crowded around me, and they had a very pleasant expression on their face. There was no bitterness. And the spokesman was a lady who since retired named Helen. And she said, John, we see what you're doing. We see what you're doing. You're doing it for us and this community and the people of this country. And I said, yes. And she said, we want you to know one thing. I said, what? She said, you tell us what you want us to do, and we are going to do it. And I realized then we had changed the momentum. The momentum, the big mo has changed. Now, being a Southerner, I hugged all the women. I shook all the men's hands, and I said, I have my first request. And they said, what is it? I said, get your ass back on that line. We're going to make some furniture today. And they all laughed and went back to work. But I knew then we had it going. We were putting people back in the formula. What's the third great rule? The book will tell you that's 12 rules, which they are, but these are what I call the great five. The third rule is you have to be willing to change and improve again, again, and again. You can't ever stop. And the leaders have to drive it. I mean, drive it. One of the things we did, we have a very modern factory. We kept buying equipment. Here they see a $400,000 machine come in, and they said, these guys are quitting. You wouldn't spend this kind of money if we're going to close this factory up. That's not going to happen. But leaders have to drive change. Again, it's a mindset. Let me give you a story. And remember this about businesses. If you don't change, you die. You just keep moving. But when the Chinese were really driving us hard, and the first thing everybody brings up is one thing. You know what it is? Price. Look at the price. You can't do this. You can't do that. Everything you can't do, okay? It's one word in business I hate more than anything else, is the word can't, because it means you can quit trying and you can quit thinking. You never quit trying and you never quit thinking. So we came up with a program called BBX, Vaughan-Bassett Express. And if you start at Denver, Colorado, and go east from Maine to Florida on the Atlantic Sea coast, if you're a furniture dealer and you want one piece of furniture, or if you want 100 pieces of furniture, we will have it on your dock. I didn't say shipped, on your dock in 7 days. 7 days. Now, if we can deliver furniture to you as a dealer in 7 days, then you don't have to carry the inventory. We carry the inventory for you. People will wait 1 week to get a piece of furniture. Try that when you're 10,000 miles away in Vietnam. My point of it is, I mean, they are 5, 6, and 7 months in delivery. We are 7 days. One of the speeches I used to give is I say, the Chinese are good at what they do, but they are not going to suck all of the water out of the Pacific Ocean, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you that right now. When they over there floating on that slow boat from China, I'm delivering furniture, okay? And I said, but my point of it is, we concentrate so much on price, we don't look at what else we can do. We talk about coaches in football. Another example I use, let's take baseball. That's one all-star game a year. Am I right or wrong? American League versus the National League. And you have the best pitchers, the best first baseman, the best left fielder, the best shortstop. And they play one game. But I got news for you. Everybody goes back to their teams after that one game. All the all-stars don't go to one team. And guess what? Somebody's going to win the World Series. And they don't have all the all-stars in the world. That's what coaching is all about. That's what leadership is all about. That is what teaching your employees how to perform to satisfy your customers is all about. You don't have to have every all-star to win the World Series. Quit putting yourself down. Look in the mirror, America. We can do it. What's number 4? Number 4 is don't panic. They love to panic you. Let me tell you, the easiest battle in the world to win is when the other side surrenders before the first shot's fired. They're going to try to panic you. And they had a saying back in those days, the dance card is filling up. And John, if you don't shut your factories and start buying from us, there's not going to be any furniture left for you to buy. And the reporter one time asked me, he said, John, what are you going to do when the dance card fills up? And I said, I'm going to bring my own girl. You don't have all the women in the world. I can tell you, down south, we got plenty of women to dance with. Don't worry about it. You just worry about everything else. You let me worry about my factory, okay? And you have to, I've never seen a good business decision made when people are panicking. That doesn't mean you don't move. A good Churchillian word. You move with alacrity, but you don't panic. You don't show fear. Let me give you one more story. We had a wonderful suit. This is about 2006 or 7. It was a good percentage of our business. And all at once, it started to stop selling. So we started checking into it, and the Asians had knocked us off. So I said, go buy the suit. So we had our suit, we had that suit. We had that prices, we had that prices. And I said, we got to re-engineer this thing. So we re-engineered it, and we came out with our next suit. And I called all 600 people together. And I said, let me tell you what the problem is. You're working short time, and this is what's happened. And this is what I want to replace it with. But we've got to produce, got to have the same quality. We've got to produce it for 20% less. 20%. That wasn't exactly the same suit, but it was close. And I said, we will still break even or lose money, but it will put you back to work. Now, I cannot give you one more penny an hour on your salary, and I cannot give you one more person in this factory. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But if you will support me, I will support you, and you guys make up your own mind. And I walked out. Went back to my office. 30 minutes later, they called me, and they said, come back over here. And I said, yes. And they said, we voted unanimously. Do it. We will do our part if you do your part. They never let us down. They did it. And we kicked the living you-know-what out of the Chinese. And boy, they were so proud of themselves. And they were appreciative that the management of that company came in and told them the truth and put them into the formula. That's what we have to do in America. The 5th rule, teamwork and communication. One person can't do this. One person can't do this. And you've got to talk to your people. You've got to tell them the truth. You've got to tell them where they are. You've got to ask for their help. Because if you want to get loyalty, you've got to give loyalty. And let me give you my example of giving loyalty. Now we're up to the financial crisis. We've had health insurance for 50 years. They pay 20%, we pay 80%. It's a good health policy. It's Blue Cross, Blue Shield, that stuff. But during the financial crisis, housing starts were off 75%, and that's where most bedroom furniture is sold. And we were struggling, and they were struggling. And I noticed people getting off our health insurance. And they couldn't afford it. And I told my two sons, I said, we got to do something. We're losing money, but we got to support these people. So we went to a company in Charlotte, North Carolina called Target Care, and we have a contract with the largest internal medicine group in Gales. And we start at 11 o'clock in the morning, we go to 8 o'clock at night. We buy every single appointment for the whole year. This is primary health care. And it's called the Vaughan-Bassett Free Clinic. And the day you go to work, you, your spouse, and all of your children can go to our free clinic free for primary health care to help those people. 94% of the time they prescribe generic drugs. You go to Walmart, you can get a generic drug for $4. Tell me any working class mother is going to turn down that for her children to be able to take them to the doctor, get a prescription for $4. And we did it because we knew we had to do it to support those people. That's how you build loyalty. Americans know faith when they see one. And they know loyalty and trust when they see that as well. One quick story about this, and I'm about to conclude, is one of the part of that free clinic was that everybody got a free physical, free checkup, and we paid you while you got it. Well, we had 60 men that refused to get the checkup. Now that's where you catch the big stuff, diabetes and high blood pressure and all this. But these 60 men, we had the personnel department, the human relations department, talked to them. I walked to the boardroom, my son said, we can't get these 60 guys to do it. I said, y'all turn this over to me. So I go back with my secretary, Sheila, which I cannot do without. And on Friday, we wrote a letter. All these guys lived right around Galax and Gala. And Sheila and I wrote a letter and mailed it late Friday afternoon in the post office because I knew they'd go to get the mail on Saturday. And I told them, we give you 45 days to get this checkup. And if you don't get this checkup, you and your family no longer qualify for our free clinic. Okay? Now here's the kicker. I didn't mail it to the men, I mailed it to their wives. And I said, I'm going to let Mama take care of this one. She'll straighten his ass out. Monday morning, 53 of them lined up, okay? And they got the checkups. And several of them later stopped me and said, thank you. I didn't know my blood pressure was over 200. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. Guys, you got to do things differently. Let me end this today. And I know, Bob, I'm running a little late, and I apologize. But anyway, I want to do this today by saying, you read this book. You don't want to read this book if you don't like the last 2 pages. I'm going to read the last 2 pages. And we speak about Normandy. 2 years ago, I took all of my children, grandchildren, spouses, everybody to Normandy. Because nobody gets drafted anymore. My 3 brothers-in-law and I, all of us served in the military. Nobody serves in the military in our family anymore. They don't have to. And they don't know what this country did. But Normandy, if you look at it, you know, go to Utah and Omaha and Port de Hoc. But you go to Sword, Juneau, and Gold, you'll see what the British and the Canadians did. We all did it together. We saved democracy for the world. And you can see it. I said, I'm not going to die till they see that. As this long journey of mine has unfolded, I'm more convinced than I've ever been it's time we all fall in love with our country again. America deserves it. So do we. Honestly, where else would you rather live? Norman Normandy was a powerful reminder of that, just as John Kennedy's admonition, George Patton's drive, Winston Churchill's strategic brilliance, and my grandfather's business acumen. Some values are worth fighting for, and we Americans are blessed with many of them. This effort to save our company, this desire to support our communities, this commitment to keep American men and women employed, it all flows from my abiding belief that American stands for something worth saving and worth passing along. The importance of high-quality craftsmanship, the exchange of value for a dollar, the knowledge that our team members have our backs and we always have theirs, the responsibility to support our own economy and demand a level international playing field, the need to invest in our future and maintain the infrastructure that our ancestors have passed along, the duty to leave this earth better off than we found it, the understanding that sometimes you have to be the change, not just respond to it, the eternal openness to outside people and goods, balanced by an equally strong support for our own, the recognitions that numbers matter, but people matter even more, the belief in lifelong service, not entitlement, the extraordinary power of one. That's the America I love and feel deeply indebted to. Isn't that a place worth loving and fighting for? I hate to see her greatness degraded. I get exasperated when I see people thinking only of themselves. I don't understand the coarseness and lack of respect some people have for their own fellow workers. Business has to be about something more than cutting expenses, raising margins, and avoiding taxes. No matter how you slice it, business is still about people in the end. Treat them decently and you'll get the best out of them. How can you look people in the eye and send their jobs overseas without even giving them a chance to prove themselves? Do you really think America is incapable of competing with anybody in the world? Should American workers get the opportunity to at least try? Too many companies hardly talk to their people, never say it. This is what we have to do. It's time for us to put people back in the formula. This is a joint venture. America is. We're in it together, all of us. Decades later, I still haven't shaken that Hong Kong factory owner out of my head. The greediest people he's ever met, he said, of Americans. He might have been right about some of them, but I refuse to believe those are the ones who truly represent us. I refuse to believe we can't do better than that. I know Helen and Linda. I know the people in the Vaughan-Bassett Furniture Room and on the conveyor belt. There are people just like them all across the United States. I know the retailers who stock our furniture and the people who take it home and make it part of their lives. I know my family and I know families across America. We aren't quitters. We work hard and refuse to give up. Well, wherever we come from, wherever we're going, we don't crawl over each other to get there. America, who are we today? That's the final question. We are Americans, the children of a country we can't help loving, the carriers of a vision that can never be allowed to die. Thank you.
First, we have Mr. Vincent HoSang, President and CEO of Caribbean Food Delights. Vincent, speak right into your microphone.
Yes, I'm Vincent HoSang. I'm the President and CEO of Royal Caribbean Bakery, a bakery out in Mount Vernon, and the larger factory is the Caribbean Food Delights in Rockland County. I thank God for over 40 years when I came to this country. I didn't look back and I made use of it.
Thank you so much, Vincent HoSang. And I can just read a little bit to you that you started your fried chicken fast food business in the Bronx in 1978 that became the largest Jamaican food manufacturer in the world. And it now has your facilities in Tappan and Mount Vernon. So welcome, Vincent. And next we have Noah Lapine, President of Lapine. Tell us about your 1-minute success story.
Sure. So we are a third-generation 54-year-old business. I work today with my father, brother, cousin in the business, and many of the lessons really that we employ today were created by my grandfather back when at the age of 50 in 1962, which is not when most men in 1962 were becoming first-time entrepreneurs. He decided to go out on his own because he saw a need that wasn't being met, and he felt that he could meet that need. And really today, that's our charge, is to make sure that we're always understanding the needs of our clients and are able to meet those needs. And we do so by giving them a suite of services to help them execute on their brand sales and marketing strategies.
Thank you so much, Noah. And finally, Rodica Ceslov. She is a dynamic, forward-thinking professional, head of strategy and transformation. Please tell us your one-minute story.
Hello. I help clients implement transformation efforts. Since year 2000, 52% of Fortune 500 companies closed, are no longer around. So everyone, regardless of the size, large or small, is vulnerable. The purpose of this transformation, any transformation, is to anticipate and set the company in a direction of growth. Where will the growth be in 5 years from now, in 10 years from now? That's the reason why this transformation efforts are done. What makes me good at transformation and understanding change is that about 3 years ago, I had a car accident and I was diagnosed with traumatic brain injury. And during that time, while my brain was being rewired and new pathways were being built elsewhere in the brain, I understood how painstaking a change process is. I understood how difficult it is to actually change, to implement change. And I started to get clients without requesting, clients from Fortune 500 companies that had a very difficult time implementing change. As Mr. Bassett pointed out before, it is incredibly difficult to win the hearts and the minds of the people that work for your company to go along with the change.
Thank you so much, Rodica. So now I'm going to kick it off and I'm going to throw the first question to JB and tell us, how do you spot competitors? You obviously, the globalization took over all of the furniture business in the South, but how do you spot that competition before it comes in and takes over?
Can you hear me? Well, in our business, it's pretty simple. The retailers tell you they go to Asia now. Most of the larger retailers go to Asia up to 4 times a year. And sometimes they don't tell you because they don't want you to know. But many of the retailers will come back and say, all right, this is what's going to happen. This is what you're going to be competing against. We have 2 large markets a year in High Point, North Carolina. And of course, they all come and we talk to them every 6 months. There's a large market also in Las Vegas. We don't attend that one. But the word comes back. So you have publications, you have markets. But really, the fastest way you know is the retail community tells you.
You just have to stay in touch with your business community. Okay, I'm going to throw the next question to Vincent. And tell us how you, and I know you created the change that happened and transformed your company was the creation of a special microwavable product. Tell us how you identified that opportunity and how that transformed your business.
38 years ago, we started as the bake product, not microwavable, which took about a half an hour to bake. But I think to myself, I said, if we can give our customers a product that's microwaved in 2 minutes, I think we have a winner. And we went on that path and we created a microwave, and that has become the largest part of our business today. We serve all the big club stores, Walmart, Costco, Sam's, BJ's, and had it been for the microwave product, we would not have reached there. But I must want to say, I want to thank Bank of America, because over 38 years ago, they were with us, and they funded us all the time, and here we are today. Thank you.
So Vincent, so how did you identify that opportunity? Maybe you can share with the audience, how did that identifiable change come to you?
Well, from day one, we know that people like something quick. They don't like to wait. And if we can give something in 2 minutes, we have a winner. And not only that, in our business, we always believe in automation and robotics. I know John had mentioned something about attitude. And I just have a few words about attitude, is that it's not your aptitude, but your attitude that makes you altitude, that gives you your altitude. Remember that.
That's great.
A good attitude will take you far away.
That's excellent. Thank you. And Noah, I'm going to throw the next question to you. I think you refer to your third generation company as sort of a 50-year-old startup. Tell us how you stay current and keep transforming and keep changing with the times. What's your secret?
Well, I don't know that there's any special secret. My brother, I mentioned, is a partner of mine. He's an officer, or a retired officer. He tells me never say the former Marine. But so he is a Marine, a retired Marine officer. And he reminds us all the time in our company that you never go into battle without a plan. But the dangers of falling in love with your plan will take you down. So for us, it's about constantly being willing to get data in from outside your four walls. Look for the competitors that you see coming aren't the ones that I worry most about. It's the ones you don't see. Nobody ever thought Amazon as an online bookstore was going to rule retail. Today, they're threatening UPS, FedEx, and the U.S. Postal Service as a logistics company. So understanding where that next threat or need can come from comes from all corners of your business. I think giving everybody a voice and a platform to come in and share their observations, and for us to make the time to think about them and take time out of the chaos of day-to-day work in the business, which is hard to do, to think about what we're hearing and what that's telling us is vital to anticipating the next wave of threats and then therefore the next opportunity and need.
Great advice, actually. I think that's, and you mentioned too, JB, I mean, it's about changing and constantly being aware of the world around you and sensing the newest thing on the horizon that could potentially threaten your business. Rodica, you actually walk in and help the companies and your clients that you work with go through the transformation process. You told me before that sometimes your clients get in their own way, and they are their own worst enemies in creating that transformation. Tell us how you get them past that blockade.
It is very difficult because it is very difficult to convince someone that needs to change while the revenues are strong. So while revenues are strong, you cannot make that business case easily. So what you need to do is, you do have a lot of examples in the business. For example, Blockbuster versus Netflix. What Blockbuster said was that our profits are very strong, and when this model that this Netflix is coming along with is proven, we're a strong company and we're going to annihilate them. But that did not happen. So one of the dangers is that companies ignore the threats while they are profitable. So what they need to do is they need to look at the bottom of the market. Is that customer that they don't want to serve because it doesn't make sense from their profit formula standpoint? Who is serving them and who is then starting to go up market and after their customer? And then also look at who else in other industry that they have not competed with before is coming after their customer. Because these are two signs that they are being disrupted. And it's only a matter of time before that's going to impact the business.
Fantastic advice. Do we have any questions out here? I'm sure you have some questions for our panelists. Yes. Why don't you stand up and just call out your question?
Well, this is a question for all of you. Describe in one word your business motto or philosophy that's carried you through and helped you stay ahead of the curve.
So for those of you who didn't hear, the question is to describe in one word your business motto. And Rodica looks like you're ready to give us your answer.
Courage.
Courage. Excellent. Noah.
People.
Don't be afraid like John said.
Courage.
When you are the only company
Survival. That's great.
Thank you.
That's great. Yes, right here, Jessica.
Many of you talked about quicker service. Oh, sure. Many of you spoke about quicker service as a way that you've succeeded in business. So do you think that that will remain a trend? And if so, how do you balance quick service with quality work?
Oh, excellent question. Quick service, but still maintaining that quality. The quality, without sacrificing quality, how do you get quick service? Anyone?
Well, let me go ahead. In my business, we started as a handmade product. And we know you couldn't serve the public by making things by hand. So we decided to automate. And from day one, since we started business, that's 38 years ago, we have been automating our factory. Today, our automation and robotics, unfortunately, it does replace some workers, but today with the high cost of our labor, we have no choice, otherwise we'll be out of business. So this August or this July, we're bringing some more automation machine that is going to make us more efficient. It makes product quicker and more efficient and much faster than handwork. And remember now, some of the workers with handworks, they always complain that carpal tunnel in their hand, and that we can get rid of. So you cannot be successful if you're not automated.
So technology is key, staying current with technology.
I would say that speed in itself is not a competitive advantage. You do have to be nimbler than before. But if you look at across cultures, the tortoise and the hare has a variant in all cultures, right? There is a reason why the tortoise won the race. However, there is a way of executing when it comes to speed. For example, most companies set up a separate group or a separate unit and allows them to use an emergent strategy that allows them to experiment, right? So they quickly test one solution or part of the solution with a group of customers, get success quickly, and they see what they should or not implement into the business, right? So that requires that you do fast, that you're nimble, that you're agile, all these words that we use. But speed in itself is not a competitive advantage, and technology in itself is not disruptive. Only how it is deployed in the marketplace
Sure.
is
How it's applied
Yes.
within your business. Noah? You
Well, I
agree?
would definitely echo that. I think speed in and of itself is a dangerous request that we often have to clarify with the client. I mean, it's a given. Speed, low price, on time is a given. We can't compete if we don't deliver on those three promises. But if we can slow down at the front end to understand where that need is really coming from and what the root cause of the problem is, we'll gain speed down the road. And it is a case of the tortoise beating the hare. The other piece, too, is I believe that you constantly have to be moving forward in the business, and to do so today, it's okay to bring partners into that business, resources from outside your company. I don't know that was as accepted 10, 20 years ago, but today companies operate lean, and to bring in partners, if you can manage that chaos so it doesn't become your client's problem, it can give you speed and deliver a lot quicker than you might be able to building that competency yourself.
Great advice. JB?
Well, we did something that most of the business schools and the bankers and everybody told us not to do. Okay? And first we had to figure out what can we do that they can't do. And delivery became very obvious. Instead of 4, 5, 6, 7 months, and we set a goal for ourselves to get to 7 days, not ship 7 days. We had to have a lot more inventory. And everybody says don't have a large amount of inventory. Inventory saved us. And when a person ordered on Monday, Tuesday morning, it was on the truck, okay? We couldn't have done it if we didn't have inventory. Now, in the furniture business, volume makes a difference on driving your costs down. If you're making 200 suits or 250 suits, your cost is a certain amount. If you're making 800 to 900 suits, after you set up all this equipment, your efficiency goes up tremendously. But you have to put it in the warehouse. Now, we had the money. Again, I didn't go to a bank. I'd already built up that balance sheet. And it it saved us because when they're trying to get across, these guys are not competing overseas guys. I mean, nothing I would like better than compete with just Americans. I'll take those on, tie one arm behind my back, and I will take those on one arm. We're competing with Vietnam, Taiwan, China, and if you think they are playing by the rules, forget it. They are not. And as long as you let them get by with it, they'll keep on. Let me make this one other statement, and it's true. Americans make a huge mistake with it, and I'm not against globalization. I just want people to play by the rules. We make a huge mistake in thinking that everybody in the world runs by the same rules we run by. They don't. They don't. And actually, they think we are very naive. So we have a lot of inventory, and we deliver it in a matter of 4, 5, 6, 7 days, and nobody else can match it.
That's great. You know, you talk about something here that's almost a little bit of timing, and we hear in business all the time that, you know, it's a little bit of luck, too, that plays into it, and that timing is everything. Could the panelists speak for a second to, I mean, we want to be proactive, but what role does luck and timing sometimes play in transformation?
Well, sometimes they say luck plays a part in your life.
Yes.
And, but I believe in looking ahead, what is the changing world. Today, the world has changed so much. Eating habits has changed so much. So we have to look for what the customer wants and move towards that. And that's what helps us in our business.
So it's not luck, it's about planning and anticipation. We have a question back here?
Yes, what an inspiring story, Mr. Bassett. You got to get your message to United Technologies Board of Directors, owner of Carrier, the Ford Motor Company. You should be going to Hartford and Detroit. A question on your company. Did you cut people? Did you cut their salaries? Did you engage in profit sharing? Did any of the employees, did you set up an ESOP? Any of the employees own a portion of the company? Maybe you could address those.
If there's going to be a wage and salary increase, the management takes it first. If there's going to be an increase, the employees get it first. We lead the way. This is not a golden parachute, and they know it. And we voluntarily cut out our salaries. And if we're doing well, then we share it with everybody. We are non-union, so nobody's making us do this. But it's a matter of trust and building a team. We work as a team. And it is still extremely difficult. I mean, it truly is. But, a management that has a golden parachute, they have to be doing a poor job, and they do very well, even after they get fired and et cetera. I call that philosophy, pull up the ladder, Jack, I'm on board. And we don't have that philosophy. We just don't have it. When we buy a new piece of equipment, and let's say we eliminate 13 jobs, we don't fire anybody. We let attrition. It might take us 3 or 4 months to get those 13 people off the payroll. But we build a system where the people don't fight innovation. We try to, I guess that's because we're living in a southern town and you grew up with these people. I know how they think. And again, we have to work as a team. That doesn't mean we won't make tough decisions. We will. But we give everybody a shot first to try to reverse where we're going. If we have to close the factory, we'll close it. But it is our last resort.
Last resort. Anybody else want to comment on that? Another question here.
Hi, thank you. It was a very inspirational speech. I have one quick question, and that is the food industry has changed, and organic is now the buzzword. And people are willing to pay more for locally grown and organic. Do you think that movement is going to go into Made in America attitude, and maybe people would be willing to pay a little bit more if they know that a product is made in America? I go to Home Depot, and buy a wooden dowel, which in my opinion is one of the simplest things anybody can make out of wood, and it's shipped in from China, and that bothers me. I'd rather pay 5 more cents if it was made in America. Do you think, what do we need to do to kind of change the attitude?
Who wants to take that question? Yes, Noah.
Well, we run into this often in our work that we do, bringing brands to retail. And your sentiment is shared by most Americans, but you put a price on it. And the same is true with eco-friendly products. So unfortunately, it's a very, it seems to be a very repeatable pattern that Americans want to buy American if it's the right price. They want to buy eco-friendly if it's the right price. Now, I think there's a different mentality coming up now in our country as we're starting to see the connection to broader problems on the environment, to job creation affecting all parts of the country and the working poor, many of those parts of the country, that's pushing some of that work back into factories. Maybe that tolerance is going up a little bit. But you know, the consumers play a part in this too. We've been trained by Walmart and everybody else to believe that we're entitled to goods at $9.99 that really cost $19.99, and that's a hard mentality to break.
Yeah, JB.
I want to answer your question, because this is what we've done a lot. We're the guy in the furniture industry that really pushes made in the USA. Remember, America, North America, it's also Mexico. And they love the made in America, and with it's made across the border. We don't worry about the Canadians. They have the same expense account we do. We have a big made in America presentation. We have a slogan. We're born in America, we were made in America, and we're going to stay in America. Born, made, stay. We have brought out a new line just in the last year called Artisan and Post, or A&P. It will compete directly with Restoration Hardware. It will compete with Pottery Barn. It will compete with Crate & Barrel. Okay, we don't even call it Vaughan-Bassett. Now, it is all solid maple, solid oak, and solid cherry, the 3 great cabinet woods in this country. Your complete group is solid. It's the way it was made 200 years ago. Tops, fronts, ends, base rails, beds, mirrors, it's all solids. And it is really catching on because people, they want the real thing, the same way they want genuine leather. And you can, that's a whole movement. But along with that movement is, it's not only solid furniture, it is made in the United States.
And you feel that is resonating with your customers?
No question, it is resonating with our customers. We have the best quality, we have the best drawers, we have the best finish. And so there's a whole division that we have opened, and we don't even use our corporate name. We use a special name for that particular product.
Yeah, I think being authentic has become a real buzzword today, and people are buying and believing in products based on authenticity. Rodica, did you have a comment?
I would say is that if a lot of people believe that this organic food meets their the job to be done that they have for their families, meaning help me feed my family healthy food, but I also want to have it at an affordable price, right? They are going to go with a company that serves that need anytime.
And Vincent, you're in the food business. What's your reaction?
Well, since we don't compete with China, and we compete with our own American here, I always have to look what my competitor is doing. But by the same token, I don't spend all my time trying to outdo them. I keep doing what I have to do to outdo them, and that's what put us in the #1 position here.
Quality.
Yes.
Quality. JB.
Let me address one other thing. I've made about 70 some of these talks, and 90% of the time, and it's generally always a lady, will stand up and say, John, because I always tell everybody, Mr. Bassett was my father, called me John. So they said, John, what can I do? I'm one consumer. What can I do to help you and other people like you? And I struggled with this literally for ages. And I came up, it's in the book, and it's 4 words, 2 words and 2 words. You have to remember that a lot of products are made in this country and the retailers don't carry them. Because if they can buy, especially big retailers, if they can buy enough containers, and they can buy containers. And the small retailer can't. That gives them a huge advantage if they can bring this stuff in from offshore. And a small local retailer can't. So I said, if you ever go into a store and you're buying a piece of furniture or boots or whatever you're buying, and you're looking at the different products, ask the salesperson, can you point out which one of these are made in the United States? And the program is just ask. That's all you have to do. If you ask as a consumer, and they don't have it, and they hear it enough, they are going to put an American product in that category. Now, if we can't compete with foreigners, then we don't deserve to get the order. And then people say, well, suppose they don't have it. And I said, then ask the second two words. Why not? You can make a huge difference by just asking and then say, why not? Why don't you have something made in our country?
Will do. That's great advice. Yeah, next question.
I have a question about leadership, really, because there's been trends lately where companies are effectively polling their employees, trying to gain consensus about one issue or another. And my concern is that there's effectively then a lack of true leadership, and what that is really the effect long-term over the direction of the company, and if that really has a deleterious effect on a company.
That is a really good question, actually. Does anybody want to take that? Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Okay, let me.
What is she at?
Yeah, the question is this. If you talked about leadership so well, John, and you all are talking about the importance of leadership, yet many companies now are asking for input from employees and asking the employees to help talk about how the company should be shaped or move forward. I'm paraphrasing for you, but how do you balance that between being a really strong leader and still listening to your employees and letting your employees take your company or a business in a specific direction without losing your way? I mean, that's a great question.
Well, I think the way the question's being asked makes it sound like it's a choice between one or the other, but I think a great leader gives their employees a chance to have a voice. So if it's a poll,
But how do you balance that?
If it's a poll for the sake of decision making, I think that can create chaos and disappointment. But if it's a poll to understand which way the wind is blowing amongst the employees, what they're seeking, and you can be authentic in listening, even if you disagree. Today's new employee in the workplace, which is going to be the largest workforce since the baby boom generation, they demand that transparency. They won't stay around. They're going to decide that within 60 days of their first job if they don't feel there's a place for them to have a voice and be heard. Not agreed with, but have a voice and be heard. So I'm a big proponent of make the voice heard, but lead strongly with the vision of the business.
So it's about listening, and you are, of course, referring to the ever-popular millennial generation, the millennials. Rodica.
I would like to speak as far as leadership and change. So what happens during a change effort is that when company reacts a bit too late, they try to cram too much change on employees all at once, and that always backfires, right? So a true leader knows how to time the change and how much the employees can take. And assure them that their jobs are safe, their stature in the company is safe, because the change affects them, and that's their main concern. And because you want to, as I mentioned, win their hearts and minds. And for that to happen, you have to assure them and time that change effort.
John, was key clearly to your success, but I know your point is from a leadership perspective, you're clearly a strong leader, listening but leading the charge. What is your secret to balancing the employee input versus, just taking them and leading them?
It's pretty simple. It's common sense. You listen to people. You seek out that. If you do it, you can do it formally. In our company, most of the time, it's done by somebody stopping you and say, "Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do the other?" If we can do it, we do it. If we can't do it, then we give them an answer. it's just like a parent. You don't give your child everything they ask for, but you give them a reason why they're not going to do this, and et cetera. But that's just good communications. I mean, the thing that attracted me, and I don't know how they did it, but we all saw that video when Carrier shut down that plant in Kentucky, and I think it was 1,400 people in one division and 700 in another. And when the guy got through talking, he said, "Now I'm going to talk to your union." And I thought to myself, why didn't he talk to his union first and say, "Look, we got a problem here. We're going to be competitive." Now maybe instead of 2,100 people losing the job, maybe 800 people would lose their job, but you keep the balance. The company's still got to make a profit. But it obviously, CFO somewhere made a decision, and they went out and they didn't even, obviously from what I saw in the video, never consulted with the union or the people.
That's true.
I think it was
I think we
Indianapolis.
have one more question.
I can't help but ask this question. How I know the answer to this could take all day, but how has any kind of public policy or government policy impacted positively your business in the past, and what public or policy or government policy will affect your business moving forward? Just one on either side.
Great.
Well, I wish you'd asked me what they did that didn't. When all at once they said, "We're going to globalize, and we're going to let people who pay 25 cents an hour and pollute the environment make our products and come into this country." The people who suffered were the manufacturers, not the retailers. The retailers got to buy it from somebody else, and such. I'm not saying we shouldn't have done it. That's what happened, okay? All at once, somebody came in, and how would you like somebody down the street be able to have half the expenses you have, and it was all legal? Well, then you had to either go out of business and figure out what you're going to do. The EPA now, with all the pollution and the carbon and et cetera, we're spending millions of dollars on our boilers, which are all wood-fired. They're not coal, oil, or natural gas. But we have to go through all this thing that they want us to go through. See, wood is carbon neutral. When a tree grows, it absorbs carbon. When the tree dies, it gives up the same amount of carbon. I don't care if you never cut the tree. When it falls in the forest and rocks, the same amount goes out. It's not coal, oil, or natural gas, but they want to claim it is. So we have all that. So have they affected us positively? That will probably be the subject of our next book, which will probably be a short story and not a book.
Listening to all of these experts up here, some of the net takeaways are: leadership is key, trust, lead by example, be willing to change, lead the change, don't panic, and teamwork and communications. And my favorite quote, if you give loyalty, you'll get loyalty. Thank you all to our panelists.